Welcome to Fix My Heart, Fix My Health. I'm Celeste Curry, licensed professional counselor and natural health practitioner. Excited about this podcast where we literally help release the trauma from your organs, all the cells in your body, so that you can truly arrive at an optimal state of health. So many people don't realize that 90 to 95% of all illness has an emotional root cause. So while you're getting the pill, while I'm giving you herbs, while I'm changing your diet, while we're entering into a healthy, consistent fitness lifestyle, right? We're going to the gym, we're walking, we're exercising, we're thinking, isn't that enough? No, it's not enough. 90 to 95% of all illness has an emotional root cause. So we are here today, and I'm so excited. My first guest, Esther Farrell.
Hey everyone, hey Celeste, thank you for having me come on today.
Yeah.
I like the way that you opened up with a prayer, and I got started getting this overwhelming feeling. And I don't know, sometimes it's it, because even when I dealt with my depression and stuff in the beginning, like in the late 90s,
Yeah.
once I got to like 2004 to really realize I need to let it go, I started getting this overwhelming feeling. So it's like, okay, now you're in this place where somebody's going to help you get through it. And now I started getting overwhelmed again.
Wow,
Like
you
now
got overwhelmed just from the prayer that we just had.
Yeah, because it's like you got to tackle this thing. Because I do it other ways internally, but then now I'm doing it with somebody else externally, and it overwhelms me.
Yeah, because anytime you begin to share your trauma, it's interesting because as much as you want to get free, there's a fear that accompanies that. There's a heaviness that accompanies releasing and getting rid of trauma because you've built a relationship with that trauma.
And you know, I believe that because when I started getting to the point of noticing and recognizing what it is and understanding the anxiety, depression, and then eventually the hypochondria, when I realized that I have to tackle this, and I decided not to do it with medication. So it was like I was so used to feeling that sadness that I was kind of debating in my mind, did I really want the help? Because I was so used to it, I didn't want to lose the feeling.
Yes.
And it may sound crazy to people, but that's just how I really felt.
Well, a lot of people feel that way, but they don't know how to verbalize it because the thing is that, you know how people say, well, why won't you do something different? Why won't you change? You saw your mother go through it, right? You saw your father go through it. Why would you want to live that same life? It's the thing that you've grown to be able to count on. Happiness wasn't something you could count on. So we're going to get into a lot of it today. And what I love about Esther is that Esther came with a whole notepad. She's like, somebody's going to help me. I'm going to show up prepared. So you showed up, and I encourage you to use anything, any notes that you have. Let's start out with your story. Who are you, and what made you want to come here today to even have the conversation where you could get home?
Well, I am from originally Indianapolis. I came to Georgia in 2004.
Okay.
With my 3 kids. I didn't have a job or anything, and I came in the hopes of doing film. But I was still in school at the time for accounting.
Okay.
So I switched from accounting to business administration. So I came here. Once I finished that degree, I was going to AI to take up film. And so I did do that, and I started dabbling in little independent film and stuff like that. And I started working for a well-known person here in that. So I really didn't even need school, but I did it anyway. So I finished that. Then eventually I ended up going back into getting my associates in, billing and coding. Okay. Then I've dibbled and dabbled in producing some projects or whatever. And right now I'm like the office manager. Also I do like some producing still sometimes, and then I also do like HR.
Okay, awesome.
And I have a granddaughter. One of the things that brought me here, I believe God, and I'm going to say that because we haven't been together in years, right?
I did. I met you years ago on a show that was going to come out.
And I still want to go back to that show. I thought about that the other day. I want to go
Yeah.
back to that.
So I was invited to be the therapist for that show where you were almost 400 pounds and you wanted to lose weight. And what we understand, those that are battling the weight issue, is that if you lose weight, you can always go back and find it. I tell people, don't try to lose weight, release weight. But you're not going to release weight unless you release the emotions and the trauma attached to the reason why the body wants to hold on to it. The body's going to hold on to emotional trauma and not allow you to release the weight because God created us to be whole. And so if you just try to do it by diet and all the other things, you're going to lose it, but you're going to go back and find it. And that was the reason why I was asked to be the therapist for that show. And we did. And that's how we met.
Yeah. And so I was saying that to say because right now I'm going through grief.
Okay.
I lost my dad October 15 this year.
And that was 2 months ago.
Yeah. And so then I'm also dealing with some situation with someone who's trying to take my dad's stuff. So it's basically stealing. So dealing with all that stress or whatever. And then I'm praying to God. People tell me like Esther, don't worry about it, give it to God. And it's a lot of times it's easier to say when you're not the person dealing with it. And so I hear, I understand, I believe, but I also believe, I know that God is working because we hadn't even talked. He knew this situation was coming.
In many years.
And so he knows what I'm going through. So I just feel like he put it on your mind to call me.
Yeah.
So that I can have an outlet.
Yeah.
Even Beth, her too. And then I talk to another lady as well sometimes. So it's like, I believe God wants me to heal.
Yes.
But I have to find a way. It's like everybody believes in me but me.
Yeah.
And so I
that
came,
part.
because any other day I probably would have like, okay, Celeste, I might come next. But I said, no, get up, get yourself together, and go out the door. Because also I'll become comfortable with staying in my house. And in my room, that's my comfort zone.
Yep. And so we're going to talk about that. So tell me what has happened, because I want to help you to be able to release. Because let's go back. You were almost 400 pounds the last time I saw you, because that show they didn't complete the show. I didn't know what happened to you. And I would only hear bits and pieces from time to time. And then I reached out to you because I had been asking about you, what's going on. And so back then you had a lot of stuff going on, but you had the surgery. Tell me about your decision to have the bariatric surgery to release.
So when I went to, somebody had brought it to me, asked me have I ever had it. I've been thought about getting it. I said, yeah. I was like, but no, it's your mind. You got to get your mind together, because even after the surgery, you still have to heal your mind, because it's a mindset. So I struggled with that, and so I went on ahead and thought about it. I tried calling like therapists, like people to talk with them that deal with people being overweight. I've tried the different ways of eating and exercising, all those things. And so I was really contemplating about it. And so I was sitting in my car one day, and this was in 2020, when I was 21. But I was sitting there, I was supposed to have the surgery in August of 2021, but I ended up getting double COVID pneumonia. So that almost took me out of here. So after I healed from the COVID, my doctor said, no, you're not ready. So the clinic called me like in February, I think, or March. And they said, Esther, we're calling you because your year is almost up, because we had already paid for it and everything. But I kind of was shying away from it. So they called, but anyway, I went on ahead. They said, we're going to do it on March 23rd. I said, y'all ain't about to kill me on my birthday. So I said, let's do March 30th. Because it's this hypochondria thing, or just surgery. Y'all never had surgery.
Got it.
And so I said, let's do March 30th. So I sat in my car one day, and I was crying and debating about it. I was talking to my dad. And when we hung up, it was like something came to me and said, you have a food addiction, which I already knew that. But at that moment, it was like a reality check. You're addicted to food. You've tried everything and maybe this is your last hope, you know. And so I went on ahead, we did it, and I still had regrets because some of it was mental. Because now in my mind, I still see, like, I don't want this much spaghetti. My mind, I want this much spaghetti. And so not being able to eat that much, it was making me regret getting the surgery.
Because of the relationship you have with food, and I'm going to go over that. So after the surgery, a lot of people that don't understand it, don't know it, what happens after the surgery? What are the instructions about food?
So the instructions with food is like when I first had it, it was like he didn't want me to have, he wanted me to have 60 to 80 grams of a protein a day, no more than 20 grams of carbs, and anything I ate couldn't contain more than 7 grams of sugar. Eat slow. Make sure you chew your food into the entirety. You know, eat to be satisfied and not to eat to be full. And at least work out 30 minutes a day.
Okay.
They wanted you to do like 64 ounces of water a day. I still haven't accomplished that.
We'll talk about that.
And so as time went on, a lot of things I let go, but I still was struggling. Like I wanted potato chips because I like the crunch, I like the saltiness. So I would do like skins. Still to this day is sugar, addicted to sugar. So I would do like Atkins bars, things like that. And then in my mind, it's like, okay, this thing says that it only contains 5 grams of sugar total, because it's net carbs versus total carbs.
Yes.
So you subtract your dietary fiber from the total carbs, and that gives you your net carbs. So in my mind, like, oh, I could eat this whole box, because only 5 come in every day. I mean, per box, 5 bars per box, depending on what you buy. And so in my mind, I could eat this whole box to satisfy my sugar craving. So I went through a process of trying different ways to still eat almost like I was eating.
Because people don't realize when they have the surgery, what they don't take away are the habits that you formed a relationship with. Right. And so you have the surgery, you start losing this weight, and then what happens? You had a food addiction. So remember, addictions go back to unfed desires, and I don't know if you know that, but addictions go back to unfed desires. And when you have unfed emotional desires, you feel like you're not good enough. When you feel like I'll never be able to add up, amount to anything, and you have this identity that you've created, you attach to addictions. In fact, we were all created to be addicts. Let me clean that up. But we were created to be addicted to God. Okay. God fills us up completely when we're in a dependent relationship with Him, where we're confident that we're going to get what we need. When we're out of alignment with God and ourselves, it leaves us open and empty to where we need something to get filled. We're always searching for that thing. And it actually rewires the brain. That's a whole nother topic. And so, but when that happens, we want to get filled. I want to be satisfied. Just like when you eat, you want to eat until you're satisfied. That's the emotional part of you speaking. I want to be satisfied. You eat the chips, you're never going to be satisfied, right? And so you have the surgery, but the surgery doesn't take away a food addiction. Now you're restricted. It actually makes it worse.
Because it goes from one addiction to the next.
Say that again.
It goes from one addiction to the next.
What happened?
So still battling the sugar, kind of reprogram my own mind to not eat the way I used to eat, as far as like breads, pastas, sugary drinks, things like that. But then it was like when I started losing weight, I seen myself different, and I was starting to have a little more confidence, because now my face is smaller. I can wear, these other clothes, like I can wear 18 now or 16, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling myself.
Yes.
Then I become this, like a promiscuous spirit came on me. Not having sex, but the attention from the caliber of men who were now attracted to me because I'm this smaller me. You know what I'm saying? So then also I lost my grandmother that next year, and I started drinking.
You started drinking.
So I sit in my room, I listen to my music, I got my sound bar going with the music, I got my incense, my candles going, and then I'm looking through this app with all these men sending me these messages, and I'm feeling myself, and I'm just, and then I'm smoking weed, and then I'm drinking. Then I go from this happy place to this sadness, and I start grieving my grandmother.
Yeah, so the thing is that I'm going to tell you something that's going to sound very deep, okay? You ready for it? What if I told you that, yes, you were grieving your grandmother. You had a lot to happen. What if I told you that you were also grieving the weight?
What do you mean?
The weight that you lost, you didn't release, that you lost. You had a relationship with it. You could count on it, even though you didn't like it, even though you didn't like the way you looked and you liked the new look. You will go back to the thing that you were most comfortable living in. And that weight came with an identity of low self-esteem, right? You were like, oh, I'm feeling myself now since I lost the weight. But it really didn't fix anything. When you look in the mirror, you might see something different, but you don't believe anything different.
I look in the mirror sometimes, and I haven't, like even now, but not as much as I did when I first started just like dropping it, is when I look at myself, I see 300 pounds. But if I take a picture with someone and I see myself, I'm like, I'm nowhere near as big as I'm seeing in my mind.
So in your mind, tell me about your mind. Tell me what you see in your mind, what you connect to, what you feel when you connect with that image of you in your mind.
In my mind, I still feel like when I see it myself, I see the 372-pound Esther. And then that kind of makes me go back into like I'm failing. I'm not accomplishing, I'm not moving forward.
Yeah.
So then that kind of puts me in a mindset. Then once I keep pondering on it, then now I done tap back into wanting to eat.
Yeah, you want to eat. You have those unfed desires. They can never be just taken away because you change appearance. I need you to understand that the emotional connection that you're really looking for, it can come. Whether you are 100 pounds, 200, or 1,000 pounds, you will get exactly what you need and what you want once the desires on the inside of you are fulfilled. That doesn't come from people. That doesn't come from a physical change. That comes from a love for yourself that you've never experienced. Tell me about that. Tell me when I say the words, I love myself, tell me what comes up for you. Like, what do you think about that whole concept, I love myself?
It's putting me first. Like taking control of my health and my wellness and my well-being. I don't think that I haven't taken that. Like knowing I need to do things, I'm not doing them. Like that's getting up every day, at some point working out, continuously eating right and striving. It's like I struggle with that. So it's like I don't feel like I'm loving myself enough because I'm still not putting everything that I need to do for myself first.
So
And it's hard for me to find it sometimes.
You can never do that as long as you're attacking behavior. When I asked you the question, do you see what you said? I don't get up. I don't exercise like I should. I don't. You have to be the thing in order for all those things to be fluid habits. A magnet, you ever seen an anxious magnet? Something that's trying to attract itself? No, it attracts what is good for it and what's supposed to come to it. That's when you are fed on the inside and your brain is wired for love and I'm more than enough, I love myself, then you're going to attract absolutely everything that you need. You're going to attract the exercise. You're going to attract the good foods because you'll have a different relationship with them. You will. And so, but until you do it, you're going to constantly be looking for things to fill you up. And you're constantly going to be in habits and different behaviors that are going to be inconsistent because they're incongruent with how you feel about yourself on the inside.
I want to ask you this. When you said that, I thought about like, because sometimes I think about people, just say I say you, and like how disciplined you are. It's a natural thing for you to maintain your weight, I guess, per se. I don't know. So I look at people like that a lot of times who are smaller or whatever, and it's like, how do you like champion or whatever you want to say on knowing how to eat and then take every day to maintain your size? And then like sometimes I could be laying there and I'm watching television and it could be somebody on TV and they have a nice body or they're in shape. And then I'm just like, it kind of motivates me at that moment.
Yeah.
But once it's over, I'm back to where I was at.
Right, right. You're the same person you were when you were almost 400 pounds, right? Not that you haven't made any changes. I'm not going to take that away from you. Like, don't ever take that away from you. The changes you have made, it's been enough for you to know you want something different, so you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You don't want to back and forth anymore. You want to release the weight. Say that, I want to release the weight.
I want to release the weight.
Right. But that weight is not just physical. I want to release the weight from all the grief, which we need to talk about in order to get that. Every organ in your body has a corresponding emotion. And when so like for the lungs is grief, right? You were talking about that that COVID double pneumonia, right? And I know COVID is COVID, all the stuff that happened, but I need you to understand. One person will get something and another person won't. Our emotions set our bodies up. It's a setup for what we'll receive. So when people say, oh yeah, I'll probably get that because my mother had it, my grandmother had it, that's not what's passed down. God wouldn't do that. Why would God be the God that we know he is and say to you that despite what your thoughts and your decisions are, you got to get what mama and grandmama and daddy had? That's not the way this works. But when you are emotionally attached to the same things, the same way, same thinking patterns, same way you handle stuff, same way you hurt, same way you grieve, same way you show up for other people and not yourself, then you're in line for the same things.
And I feel like a dog chasing his tail. It's like I feel like I just keep going in the same circle, and then I feel like I'm lost. Like I don't know how to get out of it, or whatever. And sometimes I feel like, to me, it's like somebody wrote my life is written down on a whole bunch of index cards, and then it's just like somebody just threw them up. Now they're just scattered everywhere. No structure, no organization, nothing. So then when I feel overwhelmed, then I don't want to do anything. So then I kind of shut down.
Yeah, because overwhelm means what?
Stress.
Yeah, it's definitely stressful, but overwhelm means what?
I don't know. I feel like it's too much, a lot. It's like a balloon you blow up and you get it to its capacity, but when you let it down, it's like it doesn't have any form to it. I don't know, because I don't know. So then I just,
So the story of overwhelm will decide how you stop and start. If you create the story of overwhelm, it's like you slapping the word overwhelm on everything that you need to do that pertains to Esther. Overwhelm.
Yeah.
Right.
It's that other people's stuff. When it comes to those other people, except when it comes to other people's stuff, like I'm organized and on tune in time with those things. And now I'll say it reminds me of when you told me that, I told you that yesterday, that you had asked me something when we was doing that therapy session for the other show. And I was in the process, telling you, explaining whatever you asked. And in that conversation, it's like you kind of, not cut me off intentionally like that, but you just said, you don't love yourself. And it was like a V8 moment, and I just started crying. And you said, every time you come here, you talk about everybody else, but you never talk about yourself. You don't love yourself. And so even though I think now over the time I feel like I've started giving my own self more attention in certain ways, me just saying that, I just did it in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. And the guilt. Tell me about the guilt associated with, because even if you try to focus on you, you can't do it without carrying the guilt of not carrying them, which is going to cause your body to hold on to weight because you're carrying too much weight. And it's outside of your circle of control. Only you are within your circle of control. Everybody else, your children, your father who is deceased now, mother, relatives that count on you. I heard you just a few minutes ago say there was something that the family wants to do and decide to do. Everybody's looking at you. Why does everybody look at you? What relationship? I want you to take responsibility. A part of getting you whole is you taking responsibility as the problem in your life. You can't fix anybody else. This is fix my heart, fix my health. You gotta let them go. I'm gonna take you through it. You and I are gonna do several episodes. And I'm gonna take you through. And I want you to tell me, Celeste, I released 10 pounds. Those 10 pounds has somebody's name on it for you, Esther. You have been juggling and struggling to stay on the struggle bus with these people. It's time for you to get off. You're not going to release the weight. And you said something. After you had the surgery, what was your lowest weight?
247.
247. How much do you weigh now?
It's like 262.
262. As long as you keep carrying the people, as long as you keep carrying the identity that doesn't work, the identity you have is the identity that was almost 400 pounds. If you don't change something, that's going to be your weight again.
I know it.
Because that's the identity that you've resonated with. Does it have to be?
That's what I'm scared that I'm going to get there, because it's like now I feel like I'm slowly getting there.
Tell me about that.
Because like I said, the 247 was my lowest, and I'm 2 years out in my surgery.
Okay.
And to get back now at 260 some, I've been there for some months. And it's like, I feel like I'm stuck. And I know I'm stuck because I'm still kind of, I'm still doing those habits. You know what I'm saying? A little, not as much. But I know it only takes just a little. And it can just snap that fast to be being back. Like even this week I've been better, but there have still been times, and I know some of it is the alcohol. And I want to, so I don't have the urge to drink this week. And I'm only dealing with this week.
Right.
But I don't want it to come back, because my children have even noticed it. So my daughter sent me a video from TikTok where this girl was cooking, and she was using voiceover talking about her sister. Her sister had the surgery and she passed away because she was doing, like me, social drinking. The social drinking ended up getting into her being addicted. And when she passed from alcohol addiction.
So it's really trading out one addiction for another. So a lot of doctors aren't really being completely vocal with their patients about it. Some are mentioning it. But the idea that once you have the surgery, you need a lot of emotional work. You need a lot of, and I'm so glad that you are here. I'm going to help you. And I'm so excited for you. That doesn't have to be your story. So I don't want you to attach to the girl on TikTok story. So as you talked about it, tell me what resonated with you about the girl that died from, she had the surgery and she started drinking. Right.
Because I could relate. Everybody that has the surgery they don't go through the exact same thing.
Absolutely.
But one thing is addiction. Everybody has their own addictions. Like it could be promiscuity, it could be alcohol, it could be a number of things. Shopping, because now, shoot, I don't have to wear a 26, 28. I can wear me a 14 or a 16. You know what I'm saying? So then I went through that a little bit with the shopping addiction, just buying clothes and stuff. And so one thing I was going to say when you said that, the difference is with the emotional help with the surgery, is they would say, well, you have to do counseling first. That's only for people who get Medicaid. If you pay cash or any other type of insurance, if you pay cash, you don't have to go to counseling.
Wow. Thank you for watching this episode of Fix My Heart, Fix My Health. Subscribe now. Make sure you like and comment below. I would love to know your thoughts. What do you think? What was your favorite part? What didn't you agree with? I want to know all of it. And then if you'd like to be featured on an episode or even a season of Fix My Heart, Fix My Health, send me a message at help@celestecurry.com. Want to take me home with you? Get my books. I have 2 books, The Power of a New Narrative and my devotional, The Rewritten Mind. Get it, take it home. I would love for you to get the healing that you deserve and that you need. I'll see you the next episode.